Ethan, let's take a break for now. I need to calm down. On the other end of the line, Sophia's voice carried that same faint, barely noticeable distance as always. But this time what I heard was the echo of hell. In my last life, she used that word calm down to open the prelude to the destruction of our marriage. And in the end, she leapt from the rooftop not for me, her husband of 3 years, but for her first love, the recently bankrupt Alexander. I held her urn and became the biggest joke in all of Riverside City. Now I'm back to the day, she said, calm down. Fine. I said just one word, and the other end of the line fell into dead silence. What did you say? Sophia seemed unable to believe her ears. I let out a light laugh, leaned back on the sofa, feeling the realness of my heart beating again. I said, fine. Sophia, let's get a divorce. On the other end of the line, Sophia fell utterly silent. I can even imagine her furrowed brows now, that cool, pretty face written full of astonishment and incomprehension. In her script, I should plead humbly, question painfully, ask whether it was because Alexander had returned. Then she would tell me in that condescending tone that she only needed space and to stop overthinking. In my last life, that's exactly what I did. Like a dog, wagging its tail and begging for mercy. What she received in return was her repeated coldness, and finally that tragic suicide. Ethan, do you have any idea what you're saying? Sophia's voice finally sounded again, tinged with offended anger. I'm well aware. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked at the busy traffic below. This is the marital home I bought with all my savings and by taking out a $3 million loan. The deed bears both our names. And she didn't contribute a single cent. Sophia, Alexander is back, right? I said evenly, as if stating a fact that had nothing to do with me. On the other end of the line, Sophia's breath caught sharply. How did you know? Panic entered her voice for the first time. I smiled. How did I know? I not only knew he had returned, I also knew this time he came back to make a comeback, to get investment from your Taylor family. I also knew he would gradually take you away from me, make you willingly empty your family coffers for him, and in the end, when his investment failed and he was completely ruined, you would go die with him. And I, the fool who loved you more than anyone in the world, would, after handling your affairs, die suddenly in our empty bridal chamber from grief and days of exhaustion. How laughable. This is not important. I cut off the memory, my voice cold as ice. What matters is I let you have it. Ethan, don't be insane. Sophia's tone shot up. Alexander and I are just friends. I just want to calm down. Why did you bring up divorce directly? Friends, I sneered. Sophia, put your hand on your chest and ask yourself, do you treat him like a friend? The photo in your wallet, the two of you, it's never been changed, has it? Who are you calling out in the middle of the night when you wake up? Do you think I'm blind or deaf? My barrage of questions left her completely speechless. I kept these words bottled up in my last life, never able to voice them until death. Because I was afraid that if I asked, the thin, cicada-wing thin veil between us would be utterly torn. I was afraid she wouldn't even leave me that last scrap of dignity. But now I don't care. Sophia, I'm tired. I was telling the truth. I loved her for 10 years, demeaned myself for 10 years. The ending of the last life had already exhausted all my strength and emotions. The house is yours. The car is yours. The savings under my name are all yours too. I have only one request. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, we'll finalize the paperwork. After I finished speaking, I didn't wait for her reply and hung up the phone. Then I blocked her and deleted her number. The series of actions flowed smoothly, without the slightest hesitation. I threw the phone onto the sofa, leaned against the wall exhausted, and slowly slid down to sit on the floor. The sunlight outside was dazzling, but I felt icy all over. It's over. The 10 years of entanglement between Sophia and me, at this moment, I personally drew the final period. I didn't feel the imagined pain. Instead, there was an unprecedented sense of ease. It was like a traveler who had carried a boulder for years, finally unloading the burden from his shoulders. I took out my phone. There weren't many contacts, and I scrolled for a long time before finding that almost forgotten number. "Hello, is this Ethan?" As soon as the call connected, my mother Mary's voice came through, a little hoarse and weary. My nose suddenly prickled. In my previous life, at this very moment, my father James had his leg crushed by a falling rebar at the construction site. The contractor ran off, and there was no money for the medical bills. I called Sophia, hoping she could front the money for now, but she told me coldly that she had to accompany Alexander to a very important cocktail party and didn't have time. I ran around the hospital alone, borrowing from every relative I could, and barely scraped together the surgery fee. It was also from then on that my father's leg was left permanently disabled, and our family, which was never wealthy to begin with, was hit with yet another blow. Because of this, I came to thoroughly hate Sophia, and I also hated my own incompetence. "Mom, it's me." I took a deep breath, forcing down the sob in my throat. "Dad, did something happen to him?" On the other end of the line, my mother's voice instantly broke into tears. "Ethan, your dad. He fell off the scaffolding, and they're rushing him to the hospital." "Mom, don't panic." "Which hospital?" "I'm coming right now." I grabbed the car keys and dashed out of the house like a madman. "Sophia, Alexander, both of you get out of my life. In this life, I only want my family to live well." I drove that domestically made car Sophia looked down on as too cheap and sped all the way to Municipal Third Hospital. Outside the operating room, Mother and my sister Lily were waiting anxiously. Both of their eyes were red from crying. "Mom, Lily." I walked over and hugged them gently. "Brother." Lily saw me, as if she'd found something to hold on to. Her tears fell even harder. "Dad." "The doctor said his injuries are severe. It might be dangerous. Don't be afraid. I'm here." I patted her back, though my gaze was unusually resolute. I remember that in my last life, although my father's surgery was technically successful, delaying the optimal treatment window and failing to manage rehabilitation properly afterward led to his disability. This life, I will never let tragedy repeat. I found the attending physician and slipped a thick red envelope across. "Doctor, please, I beg you, use the best medicines, bring in the best specialists. Money is no object." The doctor froze for a moment, pushed the envelope back, and said solemnly, "Family member, what are you doing? We will do our best." I didn't withdraw my hand. I just looked him in the eye and said, word by word, "Doctor, I know the rules. This money isn't a bribe. It's a small token from me. I only ask that you take extra care. My father's name is James. He's a good man. He shouldn't just go like this." Perhaps my gaze was too earnest. The doctor was silent for a moment, but in the end he accepted the red envelope. "Don't worry. I'll arrange for the best orthopedic specialist to consult." I breathed a sigh of relief and turned back to my mother's side. "Mom, don't worry about the money. I've already taken care of it." "Ethan, where did you get so much money?" Mother looked at me with concern. "I married Sophia and almost emptied the family savings. She knew that." "I sold the marital home," I said nonchalantly. "What?" Mother and Lily were stunned. Did Sophia agree to that?" "I'm divorcing her." The news exploded in the two women's hearts like a bomb. Lily knew some of the inside story. She had long resented Sophia, and a trace of satisfaction passed over her face at the words. But my mother was full of regret and self-blame. "Ethan, is it because of the family? Did your mother drag you down?" "Mom, it's not your fault." I interrupted her. "It's that I don't want to live like this anymore. These past few years I've been exhausted. From now on, I only want to live for you and for myself." My mother looked at me, her eyes reddening again. She opened her mouth, but in the end only patted my hand. "Good child, Mom supports you." The operation went smoothly. After the expert consultation, the optimal treatment plan was immediately drawn up. Watching my father being wheeled out of the operating room, still weak but with stable vital signs, I finally let half of my worried heart go. After settling my parents, I stepped out of the ward. My phone showed over a dozen missed calls, all from the same unknown number. No need to think twice. I knew it was Sophia. I blocked him immediately. Just after blocking him, a text message popped up. Ethan, what on earth do you want? Do you think selling the house lets you wash your hands of me? I'm telling you, it's not that easy. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I'll be waiting. Whoever doesn't show up is a loser. Reading the breathless tone in the message, I couldn't help but laugh. Sophia, you're still so proud, so self-righteous. Do you think I'm trying to force you back this way? You are wrong. I really don't want you anymore. I put my phone away and looked up toward the window at the end of the corridor. Night fell, and the city lights came on. My new life had only just begun. But for you, it was the prologue to hell. The next morning, after I finished matters at the hospital, I took a taxi straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I arrived at 8:50. Sophia was already there. She wore an impeccable Chanel suit and delicate, refined makeup, standing at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau like a white lotus apart from the world. Every man passing by couldn't help but cast amazed glances at her. But she only looked at me coldly, her gaze full of scrutiny and a trace of a complex emotion I couldn't read. Household registration book, ID card, marriage certificate. Did you bring them all? I ignored her look and got straight to the point. Sophia took the documents she had long prepared out of her Hermes bag and tossed them to me. Ethan, I'm asking you one last time. Are you really sure? Her voice was colder than the winter wind in Riverside City. I've decided. I took the papers from her, didn't spare her a glance, and walked straight toward the hall. Sophia followed behind me. Her high heels clicked sharply on the polished floor, betraying the restlessness in her heart. The procedure went surprisingly smoothly. The staff asked a few routine questions, and we answered yes to all of them. When 2 red marriage certificates were replaced by 2 dark red divorce certificates, I clearly saw Sophia's hand trembling slightly. Stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the sun was just right. I took a deep breath and felt as if even the air had become fresh. Ethan, Sophia called after me. I stopped in my tracks and looked back at her. How much did you sell the house for? She asked. $5 million. I answered truthfully. That house was in a great location and in a school district. In a last life after I died, Sophia sold it for $8 million and gave all of it to Alexander to plug his holes. This time I was in a hurry to sell, so I only got $5 million, but it was enough to solve my immediate problem. Sophia frowned. Only $5 million? Ethan, are you doing this on purpose? That house is worth at least $8 million. How is that my problem? I retorted. Either way, the money's already in your hands. Saying that, I took out my phone, opened the transfer record, and turned the screen toward her. Yesterday afternoon, $5 million. Already all transferred to your account. We're even. Sophia looked at the string of numbers, her expression growing even uglier. She probably thought I would hold her to this money and make things complicated, but she didn't expect that I would actually follow through and give her all of it. This completely threw off her rhythm. What do you mean? She stared at me intently. Buying out our 3 years together for $5 million? Ethan, are you humiliating me? Humiliate you? I sounded as if I'd heard the biggest joke. Sophia, you think far too highly of yourself. This $5 million isn't a breakup fee for you, but I'm returning it to you. Do you remember? When we got married, your parents gave me a card with $1 million on it, saying it was a fee for me changing my name. In the past 3 years, in what way haven't your food, clothing, and expenses been top tier? One of your handbags alone is easily $100,000. Every year when you travel, you spend hundreds of thousands. I only make $20,000 a month. Do you think I can afford to support you? Consider this $5 million as the fee for bringing your great Buddha out of my little temple. From now on, our bridge belongs to the road and the water to the river, completely separate. My words were like sharp knives, driving hard into Sophia's heart. Her face went deathly pale in an instant. Her lips trembled, and she couldn't utter a word for a long time. Yes, she missed Taylor the family. When has she ever been treated like this? Before, I always held her in the palm of my hand, kept her in my mouth, afraid she'd suffer the slightest grievance. But she forgot that when a rabbit is cornered, it will bite too. Ethan, don't you me or me you. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. Don't contact me again, or I'm afraid I won't be able to help myself. I'll be sick. Having said that, I turned and walked away without a trace of hesitation. Behind me came Sophia's scream, reined in but furious. Ethan, you'll regret this. You will definitely regret it. Regret? The words were long gone from the dictionary of my life. I took a taxi back to the hospital. Father was already awake and in fairly good spirits. Mother was feeding him porridge. Seeing me return, Mother quickly set the bowl down. Ethan, are the formalities finished? I nodded. Mother sighed and didn't ask further. Lily pulled me aside and whispered, Bro, did you really divorce that woman? Yes. That's great. Lily was so excited she nearly jumped up. Bro, I told you long ago. She's not into you. You're her backup. No, not even a backup. You're her ATM and her maid. All right, stop. I cut her off. Don't mention her again. Hum. Lily nodded repeatedly. Brother, what are your plans from now on? First, cure Dad's illness. I looked at my father on the hospital bed, my gaze firm. Then make money. In my last life, I gave up too much for Sophia. I was originally a top student in the finance department of a prestigious school, and upon graduation, I received offers from several top investment banks. But Sophia said she didn't like me being an aerialist, didn't like me drinking and socializing with clients. So, for her, I chose a 9-to-5 state-owned enterprise, taking a middling salary and living a life with nothing beyond what I could see. Looking back now, it was utterly foolish. A man can only stand tall and protect the people he wants to protect when he controls money and power. As for love? What is that? Can you eat it? In the following days, I cared for my father in the hospital while beginning to study the commercial landscape of Riverside City. Reborn into a new life, the greatest advantage is knowing the developmental trends of the next 10 years. I know which plots will be developed, which companies will soar, and which industries will become the next boom. These are all my capital for turning the tables. The first thing I set my sights on was a plot in the southern city. In my previous life, this plot was neglected because of its remote location and remained untouched. But 6 months later, the municipal government suddenly announced it would move the new administrative center to the southern district and build a subway line directly to the city center. Once the news broke, land prices in the southern district increased tenfold overnight. And the one who had secured that land in advance was Alexander. Thanks to this project, he not only paid off all his debts, but also rose to become the new elite of Riverside City. It was also from that time that Sophia's look toward him changed completely. That kind of worship and infatuation is something I had never possessed. This life, this chance, I will not give it to him again. I used the money left from selling the house, transferred $5 million to Sophia. Actually, I kept something back. The house actually sold for $6 million, registered a shell company, and then started running around contacting the owners of this piece of land. This plot of land belonged to a state-owned factory on the brink of bankruptcy. The factory director's surname was Wong. He was an upright old man who lacked flexibility. In the previous life, Alexander used some dishonorable methods to swindle this plot of land from Director Wong for an extremely low price. Afterwards, Director Wong was so upset that he fell ill and never recovered. He died not long after. In this life, I will not let the tragedy repeat itself. I didn't go straight to Director Wong to discuss the acquisition. Instead, I first investigated the factory's current situation. The factory had been shut down for half a year, owing the workers 3 months' wages and also a large loan to the bank. The workers protested at the factory every day. Director Wong was at his wit's end. Half his hair turned white. I found the workers' representative, a middle-aged man named Michael. I told him I was willing to pay the money to clear all the wages the factory owed them. The only condition was that they had to do me a favor. Michael looked at me half in disbelief. Young man, you're not a scammer, are you? We've been scammed before, and we're very wary. This is a $500,000 deposit. I slapped a bank card down on the table. The PIN is 6/8. You can check it first. Once this is done, I'll pay the remaining $1 million. Looking at that bank card, Michael and the workers around him all stared wide-eyed. They immediately sent someone to the bank to check the account. When they learned that there really were $500,000 in the account, the whole group of workers erupted. Little brother, tell us, what do you want us to help you with? As long as it's not illegal, we'll do whatever you say. Michael said excitedly, grasping my hand. I smiled, leaned toward his ear, and whispered a few words. After listening, Michael was momentarily stunned, then suddenly understood and gave me a thumbs up. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. The next day, Manager Wong's office was packed, surrounded by a crowd of agitated workers. Director Wong, if you don't give us an explanation today, we won't leave. We've worked hard half our lives. We can't be denied our pension, can we? Give us our money. Give us our money. Director Wong was driven to distraction by the noise. He kept bowing and apologizing, but it was of no use. Just then, I pushed the door open and walked in. Everyone, be quiet and listen to me for a moment. My voice was not loud, but it carried a kind of convincing power. Everyone's gazes all turned to me in unison. Factory Director Wong looked at me, this uninvited guest, with puzzled eyes. Who are you? Who I am is not important. I walked up to him and smiled slightly. What matters is that I can solve the problem in front of you. I placed a contract in front of him. Director Wong, I am willing to purchase the plot of land owned by your factory for $30 million, and I will pay it in a single lump sum. $30 million? Director Wong and the workers present all took a sharp intake of breath. They all knew that although the plot was large, its location was too remote, and it was not worth that price at all. A few developers had come to negotiate before. The highest offer had only been $10 million. Why, you're not joking, are you? Director Wong couldn't believe his ears. Of course not. I pointed at the contract. It's in black and white, written very clearly. As soon as you sign, $30 million will be transferred immediately. Not only can it pay off the bank loan, it can also cover the outstanding wages and compensation for the workers, all of which will be paid out. When the workers heard this, they immediately erupted. Factory Director, sign it. Hurry up and sign. Yeah, Director, this is a windfall from the sky. With this sum of money, the rest of our lives will be taken care of. They were afraid Director Wong would refuse, so they all crowded around him, urging him on. Director Wong looked at the contract, then at me, his gaze full of scrutiny. Young man, why are you spending so much to buy this land from us? Do you have some other purpose? He was an honest man. He didn't believe in free lunches. Director Wong, I'm a businessman. It's only natural for a businessman to seek profit. I met his gaze calmly. I believe in Nanqing's future development. I think this land will bring me returns far exceeding $30 million. It's a gamble, and I'm willing to bet. My honesty seemed to dispel some of his doubts. He glanced again at the hopeful workers, sighed deeply, and finally picked up the pen. Fine, I sign. The contract was signed, and the funds arrived. The whole process took less than an hour. When the factory's account truly showed an additional $30 million, the entire factory erupted. The workers cheered, leaped for joy, and some even shed tears of excitement. Factory Director Wong clasped my hand, tears streaming down his face. Young man, thank you. You didn't just save our factory, you saved the families of these hundreds of people. I smiled, saying nothing. And those I saved were far more than just them. I saved you too. The you from my last life, who wasted away and died after being deceived by Alexander, Director Wong. After finishing up at the factory, I was just about to leave when my phone rang. It's an unfamiliar number. I answered. Hello, is this Ethan? On the other end came a clear, pleasant female voice. This is he. Who are you? I'm Emily Brown, Sophia's close friend. We've met. Emily? A girl with a ponytail and two small dimples when she smiled immediately appeared in my mind. She and Sophia were college classmates and had always been very close. In the last life, She was also the only person who was willing to lend me money when I was at my lowest. "Oh, it's you, what's up?" I still had a pretty good impression of her, so my tone softened a bit. You and Sophia, did you really get divorced?" Emily asked cautiously. Why? Weren't you two always close?" "Close." I gave a self-deprecating laugh. Maybe it was only good in my own mind. On the other end of the line, Emily fell silent. After quite a while, she spoke again. "Sophia hasn't been doing well these past few days. She shut herself in her room and won't see anyone. I went to see her today. She's lost a lot of weight and her eyes are all swollen." "Oh," I answered lightly, my heart without the slightest ripple. "Not doing well. This is nowhere near over yet. The real show is still to come." "Ethan, I know it might be inappropriate for me to say this, but isn't there some misunderstanding between you two? Sophia actually still has feelings for you." Emily tried to mediate. "Is that so?" I countered. "Then how do you explain the photo of Alexander in her wallet?" Emily was momentarily at a loss for words. "What about her waking up in the middle of the night, calling Alexander's name? What's that about?" Emily was completely speechless. "Emily, thank you for your concern, but it's over between us." I didn't want to keep arguing with her on the subject. "If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now. I've still got some things to take care of." "Wait," Emily hurriedly called after me. "Ethan, there's actually one more thing I wanted to ask you." "What is it?" "I heard you've been buying up that plot of land in South City lately." I raised an eyebrow. "You're well informed." "It's not me who's well informed. It's Alexander." Emily's voice dropped low. "He came to see Sophia today, and the two of them had an argument. I overheard it by accident. It seems Alexander has his eye on that plot too, and he's determined to get it. He said you're competing with him for the same prey, and warned me to be careful." "Is that so?" A cold smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. "Then you tell him for me. I'm claiming this plot of land. Whatever tricks he has, let him use them." After I hung up, I ended the call. "Alexander, are you finally going to make your move? I've been waiting for you for a long time. In my last life, you stepped on me and humiliated me at will. In this life, I will make you taste what it's like to fall from the clouds into the mud. I will make you understand that there are some people you simply can't provoke. I will make you watch with your own eyes how your beloved white moonlight is destroyed step by step, and you will be powerless." After hanging up Emily's call, I didn't leave immediately. I walked around the factory instead. Although the plant was dilapidated, it did occupy a large area, and its location was better than I had imagined, right next to a main road. In my mind, a bold plan began to take shape slowly. Just waiting for land prices to rise would be too slow. I will build my own business empire on this land. And the first step is to revive this dead factory. I had Director Wong summon all the old workers still in Hebin City and told them the factory was going to restart operations. Not only that, I will raise their wages, give bonuses, and allocate shares. When the news came out, the whole Riverside City was in an uproar. A state-owned old factory on the brink of bankruptcy was bought by an unknown young man. And not only did he not lay anyone off, he planned to expand production and give employees raises and stock. Everyone thought I was crazy. Even Director Wong thought I was making a fool of myself. "Young man, I know you mean well, but our factory produces outdated textiles that have no market at all. Restarting production will only lose money." Director Wong pleaded with me earnestly. "Director Wong, rest assured." I patted his shoulder and smiled mysteriously. "Who said we're going to make textiles? What are we going to produce then?" "Produce a brand new beverage that will change the whole market." I handed him a recipe I had prepared long ago. This is something I obtained in my previous life by chance from a reclusive, old Chinese medicine doctor. This beverage not only has a unique taste, but also refreshes the mind and relieves fatigue. In my previous life, I told Sophia the formula and suggested that her family's company could develop this product. As a result, she sneered and said I was daydreaming. Later, Alexander accidentally learned of the formula. To him, it was like discovering a treasure, and he immediately began production. Once the product hit the market, it took the nation by storm, bringing him billions of dollars in profit within a year. Because of this, he completely cemented his position in the business world of Riverside City. In this life, I will personally forge this legend. Factory Director Wong looked at the prescription filled with the names of various Chinese herbs, bewildered. Young man, can this be drunk? Whether it can be drunk or not, won't you know if you try? I told him to bring in the factory's most skilled technicians and, following the proportions on the formula, begin trial production at once. 3 days later, the first batch of samples was brought before me. It was an amber-colored liquid, emitting a faint herbal scent. I took a sip. The familiar taste exploded on my tongue. This is the one. I had Director Wong and a few veteran craftsmen try it as well. They were a bit hesitant at first, but after the first sip, everyone's eyes lit up. Delicious. This stuff is so good. Yeah, after drinking it, you feel completely energized. Young man, you really are a genius. Seeing their excited expressions, I smiled. I knew I had succeeded in the first step. Next came mass production and promotion. I named this beverage Shanine, meaning the sacred drink, both domineering and full of mystery. I officially renamed the factory Shun-In Group and registered the trademark. Then I invested all the remaining funds, brought in the most advanced production lines, and began mass production. Just as my business was flourishing, Alexander finally came looking for me. He didn't come to me directly, but arranged the meeting through Sophia. The location was the most upscale Western restaurant in Riverside City, the Arc de Triomphe. When I arrived, Sophia and Alexander were already seated by the window. Alexander wore a well-tailored Armani suit, a limited edition Patek Philippe on his wrist, a look of a successful man. Sophia, sitting opposite him, was still beautiful, but there was an undeniable weariness and unease etched between her brows. When he saw me, contempt and hostility immediately surfaced on Alexander's face without any attempt to hide them. "Ethan, you really dared to come," he said, leaning against the back of his chair and looking down at me. I ignored him and sat down directly next to Sophia, pouring myself a glass of lemonade. "What do you want?" I asked coolly. "Ethan." Sophia, seeming displeased by my rudeness, called my name with a frown. "It's nothing, Sophia." Alexander smiled at her, his expression full of indulgence. "Let me talk to him." He turned his head to look at me, leisurely cutting the steak on his plate. "Ethan, I heard you grabbed the plot of land I had reserved." "Reserved?" I laughed. "Mr. Alexander, you have to pay to buy something. That's common sense, isn't it? Did you pay?" Alexander's face darkened in an instant. That plot of land, I was already close to sealing the deal with Director Wong. "If you hadn't butted in, it would be mine by now," he snarled. "Business is war. Only results matter, not what-ifs." I picked up my cup and took a sip. "You were simply outmatched. You." Alexander was so stunned by my words he couldn't speak. The knife and fork in his hands clattered heavily against the plate, making a grating sound. Sophia hurriedly tried to soothe him. "Alex, don't be angry." Then she turned to me and, in a nearly pleading tone, said, "Ethan, I'm begging you. Give that plot to Alex, okay? He really needs that project. He needs it. So, I should give it to him." I looked at her, finding it utterly ridiculous. "Sophia, on what basis do you think I'll listen to you?" Just because we were once husband and wife." Sophia's eyes were red. "Ethan, I know I wronged you before, but this time, can you at least do me a favor? Alex's company is just starting out. This project is crucial for him. His company is just starting out. What does that have to do with me? Whether his project is important or not, what does that have to do with me?" "Ethan," Sophia's voice took on a sob. "Do you have to be so ruthless about this?" "Ruthless?" I sneered, stood up, and looked down on them from above. "Sophia, you came to beg me, your ex-husband, for him. Who do you think was more ruthless?" "Alexander, if you want that parcel of land, fine. Bring your strength and compete with me. Don't act like a weaned child who only knows how to hide behind a woman." After speaking, I pulled several 100 yuan notes from my wallet and slapped them on the table. "This meal is on me. Consider it your breakup send-off banquet." I turned and walked away. Behind me were Alexander's furious, desperate shouts, and Sophia's suppressed sobs. Stepping out of the restaurant, the sky outside had already gone dark. I looked up at the stars, feeling an unparalleled sense of exhilaration. Alexander, Sophia, this is only the beginning. I will make you understand what true despair is. I will return to you everything you once inflicted on me, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. There is no doubt that my words completely enraged Alexander. The next day, Shanine Group ran into trouble. The few distributors we had originally lined up suddenly all reneged and refused to sell our products. No need to think hard. Alexander was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. His Montgomery family had operated in Riverside City for years and had extensive connections. Crushing a small startup like mine was as easy as turning a hand. Factory Director Wong was as anxious as ants on a hot pan, sighing and fretting in my office every day. "Young man, what can we do? The products are already manufactured. If we can't sell them, we'll be ruined." "Director Wong, don't worry." I wasn't anxious at all. Instead, I reassured him, when the enemy comes, meet him with soldiers. When water comes, dam it with earth. He has Zhongliang's stratagem. I have a ladder to scale the wall. A ladder to scale the wall? Director Wong looked puzzled. I smiled mysteriously and made a phone call. "Hello, is this Michael? I need to trouble you and the guys for a favor again." Half an hour later, Michael arrived at my office with dozens of burly workers. "Boss, young man, what do you need us to do?" I handed them a stack of flyers I had prepared long ago and a crate of divine drink beverages. "From today on, your task is to go to the major malls, supermarkets, and pedestrian streets in Riverside City and hand out our product for free. Remember, maintain a good attitude, be enthusiastic, make sure everyone who drinks our beverage feels our sincerity. I'll pay you double wages." When the workers heard this, they burst into cheers. Free giveaways, plus double pay. Such a good deal is impossible to find even if you searched with a lantern. So, over the next few days, a peculiar scene appeared on the streets and alleys of Riverside City. A group of middle-aged men and women in matching work uniforms carried insulated boxes stamped with the Suning logo, enthusiastically handing out free drinks to passersby. "Handsome sir, lovely miss, try our new Suning beverage. Refreshing and invigorating, tasty and affordable. Kid, come here. Uncle will give you a bottle. Drink it and you'll get 100 on the exam." At first, many people were still doubtful and didn't dare accept it. But they couldn't resist the workers' enthusiasm, and the drink's packaging was indeed exquisite, so gradually people began to try it. And once they took the first sip, almost everyone's reaction was the same as Factory Director Wong's at the beginning. "Wow, this drink is just too good." After drinking it, I feel totally refreshed, not sleepy at all. "What brand is this? Where can I buy it? I need to get a whole case." Word spread fast. The name Shanine spread through Riverside City like a gust of wind. More and more people began actively seeking out distribution points to collect the free drinks. Some even lined up in long queues just to get a few extra bottles. The scene was as frenzied as a Christmas shopping rush. And all of this was recorded from start to finish by the people I had arranged with a camcorder. I edited those videos into a short film, added stirring music and a sentimental copy, then spent a fortune placing it in the elevator ads of the major office buildings in Riverside City and on the region's most popular short video platforms. Overnight, Divine Drink became a complete sensation. My phone was almost blown up. Those distributors who had rejected me before came crawling back one by one, licking their wounds, crying and begging to work with us. "Mr. Ethan, Boss Ethan, I failed to recognize a great man. Please show mercy and give us another chance. Mr. Ethan, we're willing to pay more for stock. I'm begging you." I sat in my office, watching the supply trucks lined up like a long queue outside the window, a cold smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. "Alexander, do you think cutting off my channels will be enough to trap me? You underestimate me far too much. In this internet age, as long as the product is good enough and the reputation solid, channels are simply not a problem." I did not immediately agree to those distributors. Instead, They announced that Shanine Group will adopt a brand new online sales model. All consumers can place orders and purchase directly through our official app. We offer ultra-fast delivery, half-hour delivery within the same city, and 24-hour delivery nationwide. The moment the news broke, it once again ignited the market. The app exceeded 100,000 orders within its first hour online. The servers crashed for a time due to the excessive traffic. Director Wong and the employees in the finance department watched the back-end sales figures keep soaring, so excited their hands were shaking. "We made it! Kid, we made it!" Director Wong hugged me, tears streaming down his face. I patted his back, but felt very calm inside. This small achievement is merely an appetizer to me. My goal is the stars and the sea. And at this moment, Alexander's office was in complete disarray. He smashed everything on the table that could be smashed into pieces. "Trash. A bunch of trash," he roared into the phone at his subordinates. "I spent so much money getting you to suppress him, and what happened? He shot to fame instead. What the hell are you doing?" On the other end of the line came timid, apologetic voices. "Mr. Alexander, we didn't expect him to pull a move like that. That kind of no-cost tactic is like hurting the enemy 800 and harming ourselves 1,000. I don't care." Alexander's eyes were bloodshot, like an enraged beast. "I don't care what method you use, he must die. He must disappear from Riverside City." After hanging up, he collapsed into the chair, utterly drained, his chest heaving violently. He couldn't understand how a loser he had trampled underfoot and wouldn't even bother to look at could suddenly become so formidable. Not only did he steal his land, he also launched such a sensational product. All of this was beyond his control. He felt an unprecedented sense of menace and fear. Just then, the office door was pushed open. Sophia walked in. She looked at the mess on the floor and the dazed Alexander, her eyes full of concern. "Alex, what's wrong with you?" Alexander looked up, and, seeing her, his expression instantly became complicated. He pulled her into his arms and held her tightly. "Sophia, tell me, am I useless?" His voice carried a barely perceptible tremor. Sophia was stunned. In her memory, Alexander was always so confident, so spirited. She had never seen such a fragile side of him. "How could that be?" "Alex, you're the most formidable person in my heart," she comforted him softly. "Really?" Alexander gave a bitter laugh. "But I can't even beat an Ethan." Hearing Ethan's name, Sophia's body clearly stiffened. What did he do this time? What did he do?" Alexander shoved her away sharply, pointing out the window. "Go look for yourself. Right now, everyone in Riverside City is talking about his divine drink. He used the very tactic I despise most to smack my face hard. Sophia, tell me, did he plan all this from the start? Did he divorce you just to get revenge on me?" Sophia was rendered speechless by his question. She didn't know how to answer. Reason told her that Ethan's change must be related to Alexander. But emotionally, she was unwilling to believe that the man who had loved her for 10 years and always indulged her could become so strange, so terrifying. "Alex, don't overthink it. Maybe it's just a coincidence," she argued weakly. "Coincidence?" Alexander sneered. "How many coincidences are there in this world?" He stared at Sophia intently, his gaze sharp and icy. "Sophia, be honest with me. Did you already know the recipe for that divine drink?" Sophia's heart sank sharply. Sophia's face went deathly pale in an instant. How could she not know that formula? Back then, Ethan had excitedly shown it to her, saying it was a treasure he had obtained from an old Chinese doctor and wanted her family's company to develop. But what did she say back then? "Ethan, can you stop being so childish? Our family does high-end cosmetics. Are you asking me to go sell medicinal teas? Aren't you afraid people will laugh if word gets out?" She still remembered the disappointed look in Ethan's eyes then, like a puppy scolded by its owner. Now that she thought about it, besides disappointment, there might have been something else in that look she couldn't understand. Sophia stammered, unable to speak. She didn't dare tell Alexander that the formula that had driven him to jealous madness had once been discarded by her like trash. "You knew all along." Alexander looked at her reaction and understood everything in an instant. The last trace of gentleness in his eyes vanished as well, replaced by boundless disappointment and fury. Sophia, why didn't you tell me sooner? If you had given me the formula earlier, I would be the one at the top now. Not him, Ethan, he roared hysterically. I forgot. Sophia's voice was as thin as a mosquito's whine. Forgot. Alexander sounded as if he had heard the biggest joke. Something this important, and you say you forgot? He stepped closer to Sophia, his gaze as cold as a blade. I don't think you've forgotten him. You're still hung up on him. Do you feel that now he's made it big, that he's better than me, a failure who's gone bankrupt once? So you regret it? No. Alex, listen me explain. Sophia flailed her hands in panic. Explain? I don't want to hear it. Alexander yanked his hand away, the force so strong she staggered into the desk behind her with a dull thud. Sophia gasped in pain, tears welling up instantly. She couldn't believe that Alexander, who had always been so gentle with her, would actually shove her. Alex, you hurt me, she said plaintively, looking at him. But Alexander didn't even bother to glance at her. He paced impatiently back and forth in the office, his mind racing as he quickly thought up countermeasures. He cannot lose. He absolutely cannot lose to that good-for-nothing Ethan. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks, a flash of ruthlessness crossing his eyes. If he is unjust, then don't blame me for being unrighteous. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. Hello, is this Mr. Robert? I want to report that Riverside City, Shanine Group's products have serious food safety problems. After hanging up, he turned around and looked at Sophia, who was still standing there in a daze, a ferocious smile on his face. Sophia, just watch. I'll make sure he has nothing very soon. The next day, the entrance to Shanine Group was blocked by a group of people in uniforms. They were from the Municipal Food and Drug Administration. Leading them was a deputy director surnamed Robert. We received complaints from the public alleging potential quality issues with your products. We are now sealing your factory and will take samples of all products for testing. Mr. Robert announced with a grave expression. Director Wong and the workers were all stunned. Impossible. There's absolutely nothing wrong with our product. Yeah, we drink it ourselves every day. How could there be any problem? There must be some kind of misunderstanding. But no matter how they explained, Mr. Robert remained indifferent and insisted on sealing the factory. When I received the news, I immediately rushed back from the city. Seeing the factory gates stamped with a seal and the workers blocked outside, each one outraged, a cold gleam flashed through my eyes. Alexander, have you finally started using these low, dirty tricks? Who is the boss here? Mr. Robert asked sharply when he saw me. It's me. I walked over and looked at him with calm confidence. You're Ethan. Mr. Robert sized me up, his eyes full of contempt. Young and bold, aren't you? Daring to manufacture and sell defective products. Do you know that's a crime? Mr. Robert, everything must be backed by evidence, I said coolly. You claim our product is defective. Where is the evidence? Evidence? We received a tip-off. That's the evidence. Mr. Robert said domineeringly. Now, we're taking all your samples for testing. Until the results come back, your factory must suspend operations for rectification. After saying that, he was about to leave with his men. Wait, I called after him. What? You planning to defy the law? Mr. Robert turned back and looked at me with impatience. I smiled, took out my phone, and opened a video. In the video was the very scene from last night. Mr. Robert and Alexander drinking and clinking glasses like old buddies in an upscale club. The image was a bit blurry, but it was enough to make out both their faces. At the end of the video, Alexander handed Mr. Robert a thick envelope, and Mr. Robert accepted it reluctantly. Mr. Robert, look, don't the people in this video look a lot like you and Mr. Alexander? I asked, smiling, holding on my phone. Mr. Robert's face went instantly whiter than paper. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead. He pointed at me, his lips trembling, unable to get a word out for a long time. What did I put my phone away. The smile vanished from my face in an instant, replaced by an endless chill. Mr. Robert, I'll ask you once more, what's wrong with my product? No, nothing's wrong. Mr. Robert almost forced the words out through his teeth. Then can my factory be unsealed? Why, yes, it can. Then can you get out of here? My voice grew colder with each sentence. Mr. Robert was so frightened he lost his composure. Crawling and scrambling, he fled with his men, tail between his legs. The workers, seeing this, were stunned for a moment, then erupted into thunderous cheers. Long live Mr. Ethan! Mr. Ethan is awesome. They tossed me high into the air, celebrating this hard-won victory. I, looking at their simple, joyful faces one by one, was thinking about something else. Alexander, you lost this round. Next round, I'll make you lose even worse. I won't let you fall so easily. I will toy with you and torment you slowly, like a cat playing with a mouse, until you break down mentally, kneel before me, and wag your tail to beg for mercy. The factory incident passed with alarm, but no real danger. But that matter also served as a wake-up call. Alexander's influence in Riverside City is deeply entrenched. If I only cling to this small patch of land in Riverside, sooner or later he'll play me to death. I have to get out. I must make the Shanine brand break out of Habeen City and go nationwide. The first thing I did was hold a grand press conference. I invited reporters from all of Habeen City's mainstream media and, in front of everyone, recounted exactly what happened yesterday. Of course, I omitted the names Mr. Robert and Alexander, only saying that there were criminals and unscrupulous businesses who had maliciously reported us and set up commercial traps. I also announced on the spot that Shanine Group would donate $1 million to establish a food safety supervision fund, inviting people from all walks of life to monitor our products. If anyone can prove that our products have any quality issues, we will give the whistleblower a $1 million reward, and the company will immediately cease production and recall all products. This move of mine once again ignited public opinion. Every media outlet's front page was reporting on Shanine Group's $1 million reward. The Shanine brand image did not suffer from this exposure scandal. On the contrary, because of my decisiveness and candor, it won even more consumer trust and favor. Order volume once again experienced an explosive surge. I struck while the iron was hot and immediately launched a nationwide recruitment plan. This time, I learned my lesson and no longer relied on traditional dealers. Instead, I adopted a brand new city partner model. In each provincial capital, I recruit only one partner. The partner is not only responsible for sales in that province, but also for promoting and maintaining the brand in the region. The headquarters of Shanine Group provides comprehensive support to the partners, including products, logistics, advertising, training, and so on. This model can both rapidly expand the market and ensure control over the channels. As soon as the news came out, my phone blew up again. Inquiry calls came nonstop from all over the country. In just 1 week, I received over 1,000 applications. I personally led the team to screen and evaluate these applicants. In the end, partners in 30 cities were selected. They are all local elites with strength, resources, and who share our brand philosophy. At the signing ceremony, watching these 30 spirited partners in the audience, I felt a surge of pride and ambition. I knew that a commercial network covering the whole country had already quietly spread out in my hands. And at this moment, Alexander had fallen into an unprecedented predicament. He failed to frame me and instead stirred up his own troubles. That deputy director, surnamed Robert, was terrified by me. Afraid I would leak the video, he proactively confessed to the disciplinary commission that he had accepted bribes from Alexander. Although he was only demoted because no substantial consequences were caused, Alexander's name was completely ruined in Rivershore's official circles. No one anymore dared to get too close to him. Several projects he had previously negotiated were also indefinitely shelved for this reason. The company's cash flow began to experience problems. What made him even more desperate was that he realized he could not stop the rise of God's drink at all. No matter what methods he used, it felt like hitting cotton soft and powerless. He could only watch helplessly as Ethan, the man he once despised most, step by step ascended to the peak he had once dreamed of. This sense of helplessness nearly drove him to collapse. He began to drink heavily and stay out all night. He grew increasingly impatient with Sophia. The two of them were arguing almost every day. "Alexander, where are you going? Can you please stop drinking?" Sophia grabbed his arm and begged desperately. "Who are you to tell me what to do?" Alexander threw her off, reeking of alcohol as he shouted, "Look at me now. Isn't this all your fault? If it weren't for you, how would I have lost to that useless Ethan? Me? Cause this?" Sophia stared at him in disbelief. "Alexander, how can you say that? I did all this to help you." "Help me with what?" Alexander cut her off, his eyes full of scorn. "You gave me that damned formula, or did you help me beat Ethan? You did nothing. All you do is sit here and sob like a bitter woman." "Sophia, I'm telling you, I've had enough of you. If you dare interfere with me again, we're done." After he finished speaking, he slammed the door and left, leaving Sophia alone in the empty villa, sobbing uncontrollably. She didn't understand why things had turned out like this. Where had the Alex from her memories gone? The gentle, sunny boy who wrote her poems and took her to see the stars? Why had he become so unfamiliar, so irritable, so unreasonable? She took out her phone and, compelled by some strange impulse, opened Ethan's Moments. His Moments feed is very simple. Most of it is promotion for Shanine, but occasionally he posts some everyday life. For example, he'll post a photo of himself staying with someone at the hospital, captioned, "May the years be peaceful and my family healthy." For example, he would post a photo of himself eating boxed lunches with the workers, captioned, "With my brothers, full of drive." For example, he would post a photo of the site in Nanchang Breaking Ground, captioned, "A new beginning, a new journey." Every one of his Moments posts was filled with sunshine and positive energy. Being with him, it seemed you would never feel tired or hopeless. As Sophia kept watching, tears began to fall. She suddenly realized that she seemed to have never truly understood Ethan. She had always thought he was a mediocre, cowardly man without ambition. She looked down on him, despised him, and took his kindness toward her for granted. But now she realized he hadn't lacked ambition. He had simply restrained all his edge and talent for her. And when she left him, he was like a sword drawn from its scabbard, dazzlingly radiant and unstoppable. A regret she had never felt before began to grow like vines, wildly taking root in Sophia's heart. Her hand trembling, she sent Ethan a text message. "Ethan, can we meet?" The message was sent into the void. She waited a long time, but there was no reply. She tapped his profile picture and noticed a small line of text underneath. "The other party has enabled friend verification. You are not her friend yet. Please send a friend verification request first." It turned out he had already deleted her. Sophia's heart felt like it was being pricked by needles, aching all over. She put the phone down in a daze and looked up at the night sky outside the window. The moon tonight is very full, very bright, but her world is in complete darkness. Just as Sophia was tormented by love and Alexander was in a mess, my career reached a new peak. The City Partner model achieved great success. The Shanine drink swept through more than 30 major cities across the country like a red whirlwind. Sales climbed steadily, and the company's accounts saw tens of millions flowing in every day. I became the hottest rising star in the business world of Riverside City and even the entire country. Countless investment firms trampled our company's threshold, waving checks and eager to buy into Shanine Group. But I politely declined them all one by one. I refused to be held hostage by capital. Shanine Group must be firmly kept in my own hands. Aside from the beverage business, construction has also begun on that plot of land I own in Nanchang. I didn't choose to develop real estate. That was too slow. I plan to build there the country's largest intelligent logistics center, integrating warehousing, logistics, and distribution. At the time, this plan seemed very forward-looking, and many people didn't understand it. They thought I should take advantage of rising land prices and rush to build houses to sell. That was the fastest way to get the money back. But only I knew that the next 10 years would be the golden age of e-commerce. And logistics was the lifeblood of e-commerce. Whoever controlled logistics would control the future. This logistics hub would be the most important piece of the puzzle in my commercial empire. It will form a perfect industrial closed loop together with Shanine Group. Shanine Group will handle production and online sales, and the logistics center will take care of warehousing and distribution. This will greatly reduce our operating costs and enhance our core competitiveness. My life became extraordinarily busy. There are endless meetings every day, countless people to see, and an unending pile of documents to handle. But I revel in it. I enjoy this feeling of strategizing and winning from 1,000 miles away. I enjoy this feeling of holding my fate firmly in my own hands. Father's leg recovered very well with the best treatment and rehabilitation. He could already get out of bed and do some simple walking. The doctor said that in a few months, he would be no different from a normal person. I brought my parents and sister to Riverside City, bought them a large flat, and hired 2 housekeepers to take care of them. Mother looked at the bright, spacious new home, so moved she was speechless. Lily was even more excited, running back and forth in the room. Bro, I'm not dreaming, am I? Have we really moved into such a nice house? I smiled and patted her head. Silly girl, we'll live in even better houses from now on. Brother, you're amazing. Lily looked at me, her eyes full of little stars of admiration. I smiled, though my heart felt somewhat moved. In my previous life, until death, I never managed to give my family a good life. In this life, I finally did. This sense of satisfaction and accomplishment is something no money or power can compare to. That night, I had just finished dinner with my family when I got a call from Emily. Her voice sounded very anxious. Ethan, come to the Nightfall bar right away. Sophia, she's drunk. She's acting out here. I can't handle her by myself. I frowned. Call the police. I said coldly. No. Emily panicked. She's like this now. If the police take her away, what will people think? After all, she's the daughter of the Taylor family. What does that have to do with me? I retorted. We're divorced. Ethan, I know you hate her, but she's really pitiable. It seems things between her and Alexander are nearly over too. Today she grabbed me and said a lot of nonsense. She said she regretted it. She said she was sorry to you. Enough. I cut her off. I didn't want to hear any more. Regret? What took you so long? Ethan. Emily almost shouted. Are you still a man? Even a dog you've raised for 3 years would have feelings, right? Can you really be so heartless? I fell silent. Heartless? Perhaps. But those feelings of mine had, in the previous life, already been smashed to pieces along with her. Send me the address. In the end, I gave in. It wasn't that I had softened, nor that I still had any lingering feelings for her. I just didn't want to make Emily uncomfortable. After all, she's one of the few people in this world I still call a friend. I drove to the Nightfall bar. I saw Sophia in a booth in the corner. She was lying over the table with a dozen empty bottles scattered around her. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup ruined, completely devoid of the lofty goddess air she usually wore. Emily stood to one side, helplessly looking at her. When she saw me, Emily seemed to see a savior and hurried over. Finally, you're here. I ignored her and walked straight up to Sophia. Sophia, get up, I'll take you home. My voice had not a trace of warmth. Sophia lifted her head. In her hazy, drunken eyes, my silhouette was reflected. She froze for a moment, then she smiled. Her smile was desolate. Her smile was sorrowful. Ethan, are you here to laugh at me? She slurred. I'm not that idle. I couldn't be bothered to waste words on a drunk, and reached to grab her arm. Don't touch me. She recoiled as if shocked, jerking my hand away. She struggled to her feet, pointed at my nose, and demanded loudly, Ethan, why won't you forgive me? What exactly did I do wrong? I just wanted to reclaim the dream I had when I was young. Is that wrong? Why can't you be like before? Be tolerant of me. Accommodate me. Why did you have to become so cold, so heartless? Her accusation drew the sideways glances of everyone around. I became the target of everyone's wrath. Everyone looked at me with disdain and condemnation, as if I were an unforgivable, heartless man. I looked at her and suddenly found it all ridiculous. Even now, she still didn't realize where she had gone wrong. She was still so selfish, still so self-centered. Sophia. I looked in her eyes and spoke each word deliberately. You're not wrong. The one who was wrong was me. My mistake was falling in love with you. My mistake was giving up my own life for you. My mistake was thinking my humility and sacrifices could win your true heart. Now, I'm awake. So please, from now on, do not come and disturb my life again. We haven't been from the same world for a long time. After saying that, I didn't look at her anymore and turned to leave. Ethan, don't go. Sophia's cry was hoarse and desperate, but I didn't look back. Not even once. Emily came after me when I walked out of the bar. Ethan, I stopped in my tracks and looked back at her. Are you really just going to leave like this? She panted, her eyes full of disappointment. What else? I retorted. Stay and keep listening to her drunken ranting? She's not ranting. She means every word she says. She really regrets it. Emily defended Sophia. Truth, I sneered. Her truth is just questioning why I no longer grovel and lick her boots like I used to, isn't it? Emily, I know you're kind-hearted, but you haven't experienced my despair, so you have no right to tell me to be magnanimous. She pitiable? What about me? In my last life, I held her urn and became the laughingstock of the whole city. Back then, who pitied me? My voice wasn't loud, but each word struck Emily like a heavy hammer. She froze, opened her mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. An urn? What do you mean? She asked, puzzled. I realized I had let something slip, but I no longer cared. Nothing. I waved my hand, not wanting to explain further. In any case, about Sophia, don't come to me about her anymore. You two are friends. Taking care of her is your kindness. But we're divorced now. She and I have nothing to do with each other. After speaking, I opened the car door and sat in. Emily wanted to say something else, but I had already started the car, pressed the accelerator, and disappeared into the night. Back home, I took a shower, trying to wash away the smell of alcohol and the bad luck. Lying in bed, I turned over and over, completely unable to sleep. Sophia's tear-streaked face and those heart-piercing questions circled in my mind like a spell. I admit, seeing her in such a sorry state brought me no satisfaction. Instead, there was an indescribable irritability. I hated her, but it seemed not as much as I had imagined. Perhaps when one person is completely disappointed in another, they become too weary even to hate. All that remained was indifference. The next day, I was in the office handling paperwork when factory director Wong suddenly burst in, looking panicked. Young man, something's wrong. A huge problem has come up. Uncle Wong, what is it? Take your time and tell me. I poured him a cup of water. Alexander leaked our company's formula. Director Wong said, sweating profusely. I raised an eyebrow. What happened? This morning, a bunch of posts suddenly appeared online saying our Shanine drink is actually just an ordinary cooling tea with an extremely simple recipe that's not worth the price. They even published our formula exactly as it is. Director Wong handed his phone to me. I saw that posts about the Divine Draft recipe had already flooded major forums and social platforms. The poster used the same ID everywhere, called Avenger of Justice. It was obvious without thinking that it was Alexander's alternate account. There were already thousands upon thousands of comments under the posts. What the hell? Is this for real? This recipe looks so simple. Just some licorice, chrysanthemum, honeysuckle, and the like. I have all of them in my backyard. Shady merchants. Something so simple, they actually sell it for that much. We've been conned. Boycott Divine Drink. Give us back our hard-earned money. Public opinion instantly reversed. Yesterday's miracle drink that was worshipped on a pedestal became a pariah everyone wanted to beat today. The company's stock price plunged in response. Calls from partners came in one after another, all asking for a response plan. The entire company fell into a state of panic. Only I remained calm and collected. Uncle Wong, don't panic. I patted his shoulder. Let him make a scene. The bigger the better. Factory director Wong looked bewildered. Young man, are you out of your mind? If we let him carry on, our company will be finished. Don't worry, it won't. I smiled mysteriously. I anticipated he'd pull this trick long ago. I opened my computer and logged into Shanine Group's official Weibo account. Then I typed a line. Thanks to Mr. Justice Bringer for helping us with free publicity. That's right. Our formula is that simple. To give back to our valued consumers. Starting today, Shanine Group will officially make the full recipe for the Shanine beverage publicly available to everyone for free. Not only that, we'll also launch a home DIY ingredient kit, which can be purchased on our official app for only 1/10 the price of the finished drink. We welcome everyone to DIY at home and enjoy the fun of making it themselves. The moment this Weibo post went out, it set the whole internet ablaze again. Everyone was stunned. What kind of move is this? A suicide truck? I don't get it, but I'm deeply shocked. The owner of Shanine is a werewolf, killing 1,000 enemies while hurting himself 12,000. As for Alexander, when he saw my Weibo post, he was so furious he smashed his computer. He had assumed that revealing the formula would be my Achilles heel. If I admitted it, my brand image would collapse. If I denied it, he could produce Sophia as a witness to prove I was lying. No matter how I choose, it's a dead end. But he never expected that I would refuse to follow the script and simply flip the table, giving away the recipe for free. This is simply unheard of. What is he trying to do? Has he gone mad? Alexander couldn't understand it, and neither could anyone else. But soon they understood. The stock price of Shanine Group, after a brief drop, began to rebound wildly. Because everyone realized this was a brand new, more sophisticated marketing strategy. Publishing the recipe openly not only didn't diminish the brand value of the divine drink, it instead showcased our confidence and vision. And launching a homemade family edition ingredient kit was a stroke of genius. Many people, out of curiosity, would buy it to try. But soon they'll find that the flavor they make at home simply can't compare to what our factory produces. Because the formula I published, though true, doesn't include the most essential part. I hid the single most critical herb and the most crucial step in the process. That is, using the rhizome of Tian Shan snow lotus, simmered slowly at low temperature for a full 72 hours under specific temperature and humidity. This is the real secret that makes Divine Drink different from the rest. And this secret is known only to me. After trying the homemade failed product, consumers will only appreciate the value of our original product more. This move not only completely crushed Alexander's plot, but also brought us a new sales peak. The raw mix's sales even once exceeded those of the finished beverages. The company's market value consequently broke through the $10 billion mark. Ethan, won this war in a way no one had expected, and Alexander became a laughingstock across the entire industry. Not only did he fail to defeat me, he instead personally put me on a pedestal. His company, due to a broken cash flow and ruined reputation, ultimately declared bankruptcy. He went from a lofty, rich young master to a penniless nobody with nothing. And the last straw that broke him was me. I bought the company his father left behind and, in front of him, closed its doors forever. That day, he knelt at the company's gate, crying like a child, and I only glanced at him coldly, then turned and walked away. The great revenge was achieved, but I didn't feel the joy I had imagined. But inside, I felt empty. Perhaps, the moment I resolved to be reborn, my world had narrowed to nothing but revenge. Now that my enemy has fallen, my life seems to have lost its direction. The news of Alexander's bankruptcy quickly spread throughout Riverside City. The Taylor household was also dealt a massive blow. Sophia's father, John Taylor, unable to withstand the shock, suffered a sudden cerebral hemorrhage and was admitted to the ICU. The Taylor family's company was leaderless, its stock price plunged, and it teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. Sophia, who had once been pampered by everyone like a princess, fell from the clouds to earth overnight. She sold the villa, sold the sports car, sold all the designer bags, and only then barely scraped together enough for her father's medical bills. She started begging people everywhere, hoping someone would step in to save the Taylor family's company. But the world is cold, and people's affections fade. Those uncles and senior men who used to orbit her now avoid her like the plague. No one was willing to get involved with the Taylor family at a time like this. With nowhere else to turn, she came to me. She arranged to meet me at the park where we had our first date. When I arrived, she was alone, sitting on the bench by the lake. She was wearing a faded old outfit, with no makeup on her face and her hair hastily tied at the back. The whole person looked haggard and utterly exhausted, a world apart from the radiant Miss Taylor of before. When she saw me, she stood up, nervously twisting the hem of her clothes. "You came." Her voice was hoarse and dry. I nodded, saying nothing, just quietly watching her. "Ethan," she opened her mouth, as if to say something, but in the end, said nothing. With a plop, she dropped to her knees before me. "Please, I beg you, save my family." Her forehead struck the ground hard with a dull thud. "If you're willing to act, I'll do anything for you. I can be your beast of burden. I can be your lover. I could even die for you." Her tears fell like beads with broken strings, endlessly dropping, soaking the dust at her feet. I looked at her and felt not a single ripple in my heart. Once upon a time, this woman was the treasure I held in the palm of my hand. Every frown and smile of hers tugged at my heart. I thought I would love her for a lifetime, dote on her for a lifetime. But now, watching her kneel before me, wagging her tail and begging like that, I only feel pathetic and ridiculous. "Get up," I said coldly. "If you don't agree, I won't get up," she insisted, kneeling stubbornly there. I sighed, walked over, and pulled her up from the floor. Her body was very light, as if a gust of wind could blow her down. "Sophia, do you know? In your previous life, you also knelt before someone like this." I looked into her eyes and said slowly. Sophia froze, looking at me in confusion. "That man was Alexander's creditor. To make him spare Alexander, you knelt on the ground and performed 3 kowtows. But he was completely unmoved. In the end, to prove your love for Alexander, you jumped off the rooftop. After you died, Alexander didn't shed a single tear for you. He simply took the money you got from selling your house and car and went off to live it up with another woman. And I, the husband you looked down on the most, acted like a fool. I collected your body, held your funeral, and in the end, died in the marital home we once shared." My words struck Sophia's mind like thunderclaps. Her face instantly went as white as paper. What are you talking about? What last life? Ethan, are you crazy?" She looked at me in terror, her body shaking uncontrollably. "I'm not crazy." I looked at her calmly. "Everything I said is true. I was reborn, Sophia. I came back with all the memories from my previous life. So I knew you would betray me because of Alexander. I knew you would divorce me for him. I knew you would spend away the family fortune for him, and in the end, even give up your life. So this life, I chose to let go first. Not to take revenge on you, but to let myself go." Sophia was completely stunned. She looked at me, her eyes full of shock, disbelief, and a trace of despair. She finally understood why I had become so unfamiliar overnight. She finally understood why I could foresee things, plan every move, and drive Alexander into a dead end. It turned out that none of this was coincidence. It turned out I had long seen through her fate. "So, you never loved me at all, did you?" she asked in a trembling voice, her face drained of color. "I loved you." I looked at the distant lake and said softly, "Loved you very, very much. Loved you enough to give up everything for you. But now I don't love you anymore. My love died with you long ago in the last life." After saying that, I took a check out of my pocket and handed it to her. "This is $10 million. Enough for your father's medical bills and the rest of your lives. Take it, leave Riverside City, go somewhere no one knows you, and start over. This is the last thing I do for you for what we once had. Sophia did not take the check. She just stared at me blankly, tears sliding down silently. After a long while, she suddenly laughed. Her laugh was uglier than her cry. Ethan, do you know? What I regret most in the end isn't falling in love with that bastard Alexander. Instead, I lost you. After saying that, she turned around and step by step walked toward the lakeshore. Her silhouette, in the afterglow of the setting sun, looked so frail, so desolate. I did not go after her. I know this was her own choice. Just like in the last life, when she chose to jump from the rooftop. Some people, some things are ultimately impossible to change. I placed that check on the bench, then turned and walked away. Behind me came a plop, the sound of a heavy object hitting the water. I didn't look back. I only glanced up and looked at the evening glow on the horizon. So beautiful. The life that belongs to me is only just beginning. What belonged to her had, forever, come to an end. The next day, I received a call from Emily. On the phone, she was sobbing so hard she could barely catch her breath. She said Sophia had jumped into the lake and killed herself. The body had only been pulled out this morning. She also said that the police found a $10 million check on a bench by the lake. She asked me if I had forced her to death. I did not answer. I just quietly hung up the phone. A few days later, I attended Sophia's funeral. There were few people at the funeral. Apart from me, Emily, and a few distant relatives from the Taylor family, there was no one else. Sophia's mother, Elizabeth Taylor, couldn't bear the blow, went mentally unstable, and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. Her father, John Taylor, was still lying in the ICU, his fate uncertain. A once prominent family had just like that vanished into smoke and clouds. I stood before Sophia's tombstone, looking at the photo, her face that had once haunted my dreams, and felt nothing but calm. No hatred, no love, no sorrow, and no joy. It was like looking at a stranger who had nothing to do with me. Ethan, Emily walked over to my side, her eyes red and swollen. Sorry, that day. I was just too emotional, she said softly. It's all right. I shook my head. What do you plan to do from now on? She asked cautiously. I don't know. I looked into the distance, somewhat bewildered. Perhaps I'll travel around the world. With great vengeance exacted and my family safe and sound, my career was also at its peak. It seemed I already had everything. But why did my heart still feel so empty? Then, can I go with you? Emily mustered the courage, looking at me with slightly flushed cheeks. I was momentarily stunned and turned to look at her. In the setting sun, her hair tied in a ponytail, she smiled, showing two faint dimples. Just as she looked the first time I met her. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Perhaps the best way to end a chapter is to begin a new journey. I looked at her and smiled faintly. All right,